Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Schwartz, your host here at The Neutral Zone, MauiNeutralZone.com. I am here with co-host Scott R. Bushnell. We're going to end out the year in conversation and transition not only to 2025 from 2024, but all kinds of stuff in the air, lots of changes, and all for the best. Because you know what? This is the Neutral Zone. We like to know that we really all are one. We look at things from different ways, but we all have the same goal, right?
Attaboy, Jason. There you go again. Good job.
You know, that to me is... Do you call me boy?
Attaboy. That you boy, Jason. You all stayed on track there. There you go.
How are you, Scott? Doing
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, it's, island recovery is still island recovery. You know, the ripples through the community, as I see from the ground, restaurant owners, more restaurants closing. Still restaurants sharing employees.
Sharing employees with restaurants?
Yeah, so one restaurant that has a good staff of employees will close one day so another restaurant can open.
Where is this happening?
All across Kihei.
Kihei?
Yeah, that I'm seeing that.
So let me just complete. I'm going to stop here because I know we won't forget where we're on. We're also on Akaku, Maui Community Media TV, Channel 55 right now. If it's Monday, 11 a.m., December 30th, where you are. Otherwise, we're on tape, and you can find us up at YouTube at Dream Maui, #1, Maui Neutral Zone, and you can put Scott's name in YouTube, my name, and you'll find stuff up there.
Yeah.
Back to where we were, which you
were
talking about
it's
restaurant owners.
Yeah,
do they own two restaurants? They're just friends.
Some are lifetime owners. That chefs are hard to come by. Chefs are pulling high dollar. If you have a restaurant that's not just slapping together burritos or hamburgers, and you need a good chef because your restaurant is determined upon having somebody who cooks properly.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe I misspoke.
No.
No. God. I'm seeing that. I'm hearing that. I'm going like, oh, okay, that makes sense, because so many people have left the island. I mean, they have record, vacancies where I live, where before COVID, you would have a 2-year waiting list.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And when you say record vacancies, let's be clear. I'm being clear.
Right.
There are vacancies. There desperately are people looking for houses, but the rates and prices are through the sky. They were through the sky.
You need
before
$8,000.
FEMA did their movie.
$8,000 monthly income to qualify to live where I live in low-income housing. I'm not
$8,000 a month.
$8,000 a month. That's what it is today. It wasn't that when I moved in.
And you have to come down with a healthy deposit.
Yeah, about $6,000, all said and done.
Well,
today. But see, just when we moved in 7 years ago, it was a third of that. And it was doable. It was very doable, 6 years ago. And today, I think, it's a complicated issue. We have... It's funny, when I listen to the local news and state news, they talk about, oh my goodness, there's going to be this giant exodus of illegal immigrants. And I'm going, okay. And I'm hearing this large number on the news. And then in the same breath, a few days later, they're talking about almost that exact same number of people that need a place to live. I'm going, well, okay, we have our local population that needs a place to live. We have this number of illegal immigrants who are living somewhere.
And paying healthy rates.
Yes.
So working.
So what's going?
What are we
missing
labor
here?
Force? Is that what's up?
No, I think the concern is,
how do you move people in? Good. What? They don't have money. The people that you're talking about moving in, who's paying for all this?
Let's roll back a little bit. Okay, as the immigration thing has changed.
Yeah.
And as apartment complexes, everything has been in demand. Everybody knows the rules of supply and demand. The demand was high pre-COVID. It jacked rents way up because there was a demand.
and prices of ownership as well. I'm just
Yeah,
bringing it up.
you're the whole thing together.
It's created
The
everything.
demand has
So the
created
demand
this
was
this
there.
this false economy, and now here we are. Our local economy, people that actually live here and love here and kind of grew up here, are going like, okay, I'm not living with 8 or 9 people with part-time jobs to pay rent. I just want to live here with my spouse and do whatever. And so we've been in competition, or the working folks in Maui have been in competition with multiple families sharing a 1-bedroom apartment. And the laws that they put into place they're not following them. They haven't for years. The occupancy level, a lot of these complexes, the larger complexes, say, who's living in the apartment? It's X, Y, and Z are living in the apartment. And they're not really following up when there's like auntie, uncle. And I get that after the fire.
Well, like where I live, you can't even have a guest overnight without registering.
Bam, there you go.
Don't they do that kind of stuff?
No.
Why?
A lot of them have it because of the concern that people need to be off the streets. But we're taking people from off the island out of the country and stuffing them into a very small space.
So,
yeah,
to
the
all
supply
of you
and
out
demand.
there, out of the country, that's Scott's slant. Because you don't have to be from out of the country, right?
No.
Why do you think that what's going to happen now? Let's just be real. I remember when Tasha Kama was in a church, and that church group was Kaului, before she was council.
Right.
By the way, she's a very nice lady.
Yeah.
She don't agree on some stuff, but
Yeah,
you
you
always
don't.
look and find out why, and you realize that there's conversation we don't hear,
Yeah.
that decisions are made that we as public, we're twisted by all the way the media is
Right.
visualizing
Right.
and portraying things. And that's why we're here, by the way. That's
Right,
Neutral
right.
Zone was started for that purpose, to have someone who's talking. But anyway, I was talking about, Tasha Kama was there talking about raids happening, that employers were getting really upset because raids from the ICE group checking about was depleting their employees. So I
Right.
can't imagine now that we're not going to find, even in the restaurants that are still alive that have employees,
Right.
that a percentage of people are going to be gone. Then the tenants that suddenly can't pay, and then there's no one, they're going to pay those rates.
And
Is
then
that
at
gonna
some
drive-
point, and I think we're at this turning point right now for like places where I live,
Yeah.
that we're going to see that rents are going to have to go lower. They're absolutely going to have to.
Yeah.
As soon as they're going to see the vacancy motion, they're going to go, okay, we're going to have to change something here because we don't have our units full anymore. We're not. I mean, the people that run the hotels on the island, they get this. They know when the demand is low, they bring their hotel rates down. That's a fluid thing. You visit Maui in January and May because the rates are the lowest if you want family to come visit. Bam. But we have our static population whose rents have never fluctuated because the economy has taken, from the fire, from COVID, has taken this giant hit. And yet property taxes have gone boom. So landlords are not having that margin to say, hey, I need to lower rent, but my property taxes are here, my electrical costs are here, my
You can
maintenance
see why I
costs are
decided
here.
I was going to reactivate my real estate
Absolutely.
license. There, in every arena in real estate, activity will be happening.
It
Now,
will.
I don't know where and what, but I know that all that experience is. Do you know I was doing it in 1980? Where are we now? We're old. I'm old.
That was 50 years ago.
So I've been doing real estate. I was commercial then. So
Yeah.
we are in a condition that is an unknown. Do you have any
It is an
solutions?
unknown. No.
I don't know any
No.
solutions except lower. The rents will have to be lowered. There'll be change of ownership because some people won't be able to do that.
No,
Right?
and this is not new. No, I have family that bought a lot on the beach, and I've talked about this story forever in the 50s for like $500. built their own home, did it all by hand, and by the time they retired, the rent was more than they were making full time working for the city. So it's like, but the taxes were more than, yeah. And so it's like, okay, you build a home, you spend your life there, you raise all your kids there, and now the taxes are more than you even paid for the.
So let's ask me. I'm asking you.
We have to grow the economy.
Yeah, but we have to grow the economy. But what are we doing to our local people? Are there ways for them to avoid a higher tax? If you look at the tax structure, it's way higher than I recall.
Yeah.
And it's also, it favors people that live here, but it's still too high. It's still too high because the values of, unbelievable. In these last few years, there's so much equity now because
But it's false equity, Jason. It's false equity. You know, we talk about the gold standard.
False, and it's not false. Lenders
the same amount of
that we're not going to give you more than 50 and 65 at the max. Why? Wait. Why? Because what you just talked. So the system knows how to protect itself, and so we see the money is going back into the hands of the richer. So how do we? On the air. You say that to someone.
He's so popular. He's selling houses left and right.
No, it's not true. I'm not licensed yet.
I know.
It's on its way. Come on, air. But she should know I'm on the air.
Hi, Ariel.
That's not Ariel.
Oh, I thought it was Ariel.
No,
I thought you said
that was
Ariel.
a real estate agent.
Oh, okay.
She'll find out afterwards.
There you go. Okay, good.
Anyway, what's really interesting is that I can't avoid. We're not going to talk. You're live on the air, so I'm going to turn you off. Speak to you in an hour. Aloha. No, that did it.
I'll just pull down, hit focus. We'll get there.
I am very much understanding this real estate thing has hit me from everywhere.
It's really...
Everyone I know is stressed. Either they're an owner, if they have rentals, and I like the idea of taking that equity while it's there and having people that have the equity buy some of these properties that then will be allowing their kids to come home, but not if there's no potential income. This whole thing is
the Fed has created a false. Once we went off the gold standard, we go back to Nixon. We created this Federal Reserve in 1913. They gave them a printer that makes money.
Yeah, but when we go off this thing of where we are, or like by example of getting our budgets right and everything, with the suffering rate is already, but is going up. So we better love each other and help each other. And you that have ought to look around and realize life is more than just collecting. Although here we are, this is going to be unprecedented challenges here. How do you see we can get around that? I don't really know.
You know, I go back to this all the time, that you can buy the best suit of clothes, the best suit you can buy. You can still buy with a $20 gold piece from 1847. An 1847 gold piece will buy you an Armani suit, shoes, everything. That same gold piece today will buy you an Armani suit. The value of things are falsely inflated. So if everything isn't rising together, then we have this disparity where we have these illusionary gains, this illusionary value.
But our whole system is based on that illusion. This person is charging more for this same little 10-cent thing because they want their piece, and then this person, wait, I have to make money too. By the time we get it, it's God knows how much more. And here in America, we are a model society for the greed and abuse factor on both sides of any political aisles. Everybody, the culture is set up that way. So to fix it, well, it's nice to say fix it when you're a multi-trillionaire, but at this grassroots level, at your place, by example, when they have to lower those rates.
We've got to meet in the middle somewhere. Yeah.
We have to be able to find out how to
Well, the Fed has
find
set
an
us up.
1847 gold piece and not the air.
Who has made great strides and growth with this Federal Reserve in the last 118 years?
What is great strides and growth? You mean elimination of?
No. What grew the most in our economy?
Government.
Government. They are the animal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you really look at why we set up governments in small cities, 1, the sheriff, 2, firefighting, and 3, teachers.
And 4, people wanting to pass the buck. If they can't handle it,
Well, no.
let someone else pay for it. When you want to get housing, used to be you had to have the materials and all the permits.
Yeah.
Now you borrow from all kinds of ways that are programs that are standing debt, that are just
you're pushing make believe monopoly money around the table, and
so
that's how
it's going to be painful.
We've got to reduce the bureaucracy.
Yes,
we have 10% of the housing permits in Lahaina town have been applied for, not even approved to start rebuilding. We've replaced 2 homes in Lahaina in a year and a half because of our bureaucracy. And that brings me to a real key note. We had a Supreme Court case this last year, which was, I want to say, I can't think of the case, but the takeaway from that case is Congress makes the laws. Congress is the only one that are allowed to make laws. And that has been since the inception of our country.
Okay.
Not the president, not an executive order, not FEMA, not the EPA, not the Food and Drug Administration.
So no one's monitoring these. And
these agencies, everything they have done has been unconstitutional. And the Supreme Court reaffirmed that unanimously last year, and no one was paying attention.
You were?
I was.
How does it impact us now? Anything we can...
that unanimous decision, and I apologize, I can't bring up the statute.
You'll have to come back.
I will have to come back. So, if that is correct, then everything that any agency has done and said this is the law, that is not the law. Law can only come from the state legislatures and the federal legislatures, not from the president, not from a governor. Unless the governor says, I need a law, I take it to the House, it gets passed through the House, it goes to the Senate, and they bypass this. They've created these 3-letter bureaucracies.
Well, no, I see that,
right.
And I know
there's the fact.
Correct.
There is why we're paying.
Like you say with you do a little job on one person, you got 13 reports to write.
Yeah.
And it's really absurd. The whole system is absurd. We know that. And that's what these 2 guys, I just know that the pain, to me, that's the biggest thing going on here, that people don't want to fix this. It was created years ago when they started going over the border and letting them manufacture in Mexico.
Absolutely.
Remember that? It was like an issue.
That was NAFTA.
Remember that?
Oh,
NAFTA.
That was that Bush debacle.
Well, it was before Bush.
No, the first Bush.
I thought it was
NAFTA.
Clinton. Was he in the middle?
He was in the middle. Yeah.
So it was North American Federal Trade Agreement, and the issue was... But then it got abused and expanded globally,
and it got glad-handed,
and we've lost industry horribly.
Yeah,
but
it
now,
destroyed Detroit.
How do we reel that back in? How? In a giant cut?
Nobody wants to come back when there's these many bureaucrats that have not been given the power by the legislatures.
So now I heard a thing yesterday talking about supply side economics. Larry, what's his name, the economist? Larry Summers.
Or Summers.
And the reason I'm even bringing it up is because at the end of it, Ariel said, that was really great. And I think to myself, people that are looking for things in some ways aren't really aware that great answer is actually, by example, that's the Trump side of this last election, but it also is something that is grounded in a firm reality of what we need to do as a country and maybe world. The world's already on different track, and that's why America is really in a tough place, because the world is moving to move away from the American economy, which is crumbling in front of
Right,
it.
and we're watching the German economy fail. We're watching France. We're watching Italy. We're watching China teeter.
This is horrible.
We have built the government so large and so fat.
Everywhere.
If you just think in your head, okay, I need to be able to pick up the phone and call 911. That's what I want my tax dollars to go to. I want the best teachers in the school. I want those teachers to get the money. I want, when I have an accident, medics be able to dispatch to my location. I want them to be the best and the best paid. But there are so many layers above all the licensing.
No, but I got you.
Yeah.
But those are my only point. My only point that I'm making is because I agree
Yes.
with what you're talking about. But that I talk about a neutral zone, but the pain inflicted, the retrain. I mean, if they're doing this, are they also training people with some kind of skill set to go into computers and use things in a better way to then be able to make money and survive in this new world?
Well,
the answer is no.
see, I don't think anybody's paying attention to what they're talking about with this Vivek and this Elon thing. We're talking about a 3-year severance where you're getting full pay for the next 3 years or more if your job, because the government or they deem that you're a redundancy, that you're not just put on the street.
No. But that's, first of all, that's great to hear, and I didn't know that. But did you know that? I bet you might not.
Probably
have known
did
that.
not know that.
Because
Yeah.
you know that what do they say? The devil's in the details, but also the angel's in the details.
Yeah.
When you make a deal, like, that's nice to know, and we still have these other issues that have to be addressed because those people are being forced back into the same absurd system, and in 3 years,
Yeah.
still don't have solutions in mind.
We have a lot of
We
talented
hope-
people that are working for the government and
So
government
supply
agencies.
side economics, I fully appreciate.
Yeah.
If I was an owner, wouldn't I do more if I knew I'd pay less taxes? Yeah, I would. So, yeah, we get that. So no matter whether you're left or right, you can honestly agree
Absolutely.
with that. But you also agree that the people that are, quote, suddenly out in the cold,
Which they're not going to be.
you're talking
Yeah.
about for the next 3 years. That's
Yeah.
great.
Or
I can
longer
tell you,
even. And they'll
see this
extend
beard, it used to be darker.
that. I shaved yesterday.
The
I got
next
some
3
new
years-
shaving cream for
the way,
Christmas, so I thought
I
I'd
was-
try it out.
By the way, you on radio don't know, Scott is looking great. Scott has done a movie with his personal health and life, and you are looking great. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a short list. What's the reasons?
You know, I listened to Bobby Kennedy.
That's
You know,
what-
I was working on his campaign, but it was just like, okay, we've been misled. They've been feeding the American people all these complex, manipulated foods, and just going back and eating meat and no starches and nothing that is fabricated has just taken the weight away. The only thing that I'm not eating that isn't fabricated, that is just grown, is potatoes, rice, those kind of the starchy products. Everything else, bacon, eggs, everything, meat, spam, bam, and my cholesterol is going lower. So listen to Bobby Kennedy. Get
and
back
you
to
know that good cholesterol is needed. It works in the brain.
because the brain, and we're wondering the low-fat diet. Bobby Kennedy spoke to this. I've listened to other health professionals talk about why Alzheimer's is highest here in the United States. They convinced everybody to go on a low-fat diet. Your brain needs fat. I didn't know that. So now, and have you heard Bobby talk about you need tallow? Tallow was that thing that was evil, the bacon grease or whatever or whatever grease from any meat product. You strain it off. I remember my grandmother always having a jar of it on the counter because anytime she'd cook anything, they would strain it and whatever. And any baking or anything was done not with Crisco, which is illegal in almost every country except for ours.
How wild is
Yeah,
that?
and the cornstarch products. I mean, they make corn into gasoline.
Are there many people? I was going to just say, and then I answered my own question. Hey, America, wake up! What the heck?
Yeah.
You know, Bobby Kennedy as health guy, if he was able to make directives,
Look at
but
him.
just listen to. Here's a guy that can do pull-ups. I can't do
Oh
pull-ups.
my
like
God,
him.
the guy's an animal.
It's like, why is that? Because he eats well, you know, whatever anyone wants to say, yeah, something made his brain. These people are just not being reasonable. I am so thrilled that the health thing is a piece that Kennedy will be involved in.
And
Really good.
his health thing, that has been sadly, it's been the greatest attack on the poor.
I just
The mac
saw-
and cheese, the hamburger helper, the staple
Here's
of.
a story you'll like.
Okay.
There's an owner and a tenant in real estate, and the owner is up there in age, and he has a tenant who's 25 years younger and fit and trained, and he's always asking him for advice. Suddenly, he goes away, comes back, and now he doesn't want to hear the advice, and he gets so upset on hearing that truth and seeing. He doesn't want to see anymore.
Yeah.
And doesn't want to see anymore, and gets violent. America, are we going to get violent because we
already
love our
have.
Crisco and Fritos?
No, we've already gotten violent. We've rioted in the streets for almost 3 years. They burned buildings. They destroyed, in all the big cities, they destroyed everything.
Who's they?
Black Lives Matter, in the name of Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all
So
of that.
left, right, center, people.
I think that was just part of that stage control of the media. It's all
See, why are we
performance.
talked about as left, right, and center when I never, when you say Bobby Kennedy, I think, oh, liberal, liberal, liberal. I don't, by the way, you know who you're talking to. And then I hear something you talk. So conservative economics and liberal social policy means we're all mixed up in this
we're being
beautiful
played.
soup.
We're being
How
played.
do we consciously help each other without getting into this thing?
Well,
that we get into?
just make sure you're watching something that pisses you off. Cognitive dissonance. You were just talking about cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance, and I teach this when I'm teaching over at MCCC. That's where you believe something so solid in your mind that you believe that is the gospel truth and you will fight to your death for it. If you have been watching enough beautiful pictures or pictures on television and stories that have convinced you so solidly that what your beliefs are right, cognitive dissonance is that part of that cognitive behavioralization, weaponization that the deep state has used to program you to believe things that if you really actually laid it out on the table, you're going, oh, that's not good. But you're only seeing this. So they're programming it. That's why people are getting angry. That's why I see posts online from some of my friends that are the most loving, kind people who repost some of this hateful stuff about Trump and but they never attack the policy. They're always about some vision they have and some belief they have, which always concerns me. I said, we need to debate these topics, but the people that want to debate are people who are angry and they want to debate emotions and not about debating the price of bread. Bread makes me feel
that's
good.
that thing I brought up earlier.
Absolutely.
Which is the
You were
pain.
on top of it. Yeah.
Well, and again,
Yeah.
You already know I'm not a big Trump fan as the way the man is. A lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
And I would have a hard time voting for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that policies that do the things we're talking about make sense. But how do you offset the
cognitive
problem
behavioral programming?
The problem, especially in a world that is where it is right now, we are at a unique. I don't know what we're going to do.
No, I think we're at a
We're
wonderful
on an
time.
island, so we're blessed because if we here want to help each other, we can.
Yeah,
we
we are
can
one of the
do it.
2 states that can actually feed our population
Who's
without
the other one? Alaska.
Alaska.
Hey, where do you want to be, Alaska or Hawaii?
Or the new state of Canada, which would be the fourth most strong economy in the United States behind California, Florida, and Texas.
What you're thinking you want to acquire?
Oh,
Canada?
I'm just being silly, Jason. I just
let's
I
acquire
find
Mexico at the
that fun banter.
I am.
Yeah.
Be careful. There are people out there.
Yeah, who knows?
You know, first of all, I don't know how long it's been. I like having other guests, but whenever I have you here, I feel we have a special, interesting
We have
dynamic,
fun, Jason. Yeah.
You know, because
I'm not fixated on any particular topic. I like to watch. I like to watch, Jason, and I watch all the television. I even watch that stuff that I go, how can anybody think that's true?
you know, well, I wonder myself, but I tell you real clearly, the reason that I'm continuing to do this show is not for me. See, everyone.
See, there you go.
You wonder where my viewership is.
There he is, right
on
there.
On the phone, they are calling me. This is a call in. This is not the number. 808-873-3435 is the caller number. And if you call in, you can talk to us on the air. But if you call on this number, you're going to get me doing what I've been doing, which is, why didn't I shut that phone off? Anyway, I really am, and I ask you because I know you're a compassionate heart. When we talk logically, there's no question when I feel like I'm walking in the pool. Scott has been a great coach. For those of you out there, Scott is a great, not only swimming coach, but you, like you say, you sort of do the whole
life thing. Yeah,
this guy's a package.
I've been called a box of rocks, but yeah, you know.
How do we find you, Scott?
AlohaSwimLessons.com.
Okay.
If you've never learned to swim, yeah, I'm your guy.
But also, I found that people with health things and all kinds of stuff, he's just, and when I was walking in the pool, getting my legs back, I'm ready to walk outside the pool, too.
I'm ready.
You still doing that?
Yeah.
See, this is really Superman. He's not really letting on.
Let's see how we're doing this year. Let me pull up my mileage.
Mileage.
It's not as good, though. Let me pull up my mileage here. Let's see what I'm looking at.
He's going to tell us, listen to this.
No, I'll even show you.
In this day and age, we can track how many steps you've taken.
There we go.
This year?
Yep. I'm not breaking 1,000 this year.
915, virtually 16. And you have time. You could hit 1,000.
I got one more day. I didn't walk this morning. I had to go to UPS.
But you've been doing 3 to 5-ish kind of a day? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ish.
Some days, you know, if I get, like, I have my headphones on and I listen to Mass in the morning and then I do the rosary and then I start listening to different podcasters and get political insights. So, yeah. Oh. So I've got, like, if I can go for 2 hours, 2 hours will get me about 6 to 8 miles. But I can't do that every day. I've got to break it up. You know, so one day is 1.5 miles. The next day, you know, might be 5 or 6. But
so one of these days, I'm going to hope to join.
There is no one of these days. You put it in your calendar, and we will do it.
We'll do that. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
that's how I mean it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I find that when I don't schedule, I have a hard time doing multitask. But when I do, I can do them all at the same time. Except I usually would block off when someone's on the radio. That's the one and I thought, you know what? I think that's going to be the new standard.
I have to write stuff down.
I have to find some way of getting people to know we're here.
Yeah, I'm surprised. You know, the videos, some that I did here went viral, which was really cool. Yeah, but it's such a hit and miss. I mean, I'm about to
because you had a client or I want to say someone on that wanted to use it as a tool, not someone that thought they're putting it in the media pool.
No, it was part of a bigger. Yeah,
bigger agenda.
Yeah, and so then it just went from this agent. It was.
Agency 1 to Agency 2.
It wasn't even an agency. It was an activism group for firefighters, and it got passed through the firefighting community across the country.
And we like to be that here. And I think by the things that we bring up, we are national conversation. We're not only local. We speak about local things, but we want to change. I mean, when you talked about what FEMA and EPA have done here, and many people say, they're the champions. They gave me a place to live. I saw a guy driving a cart he had, and he's still homeless. He's from the fire. How come he still says he's homeless? Is he lying to me? Is he one of those 1,500 people or 428 families that aren't being served with all this money and all thrown around and so many hundreds of places empty and being paid for by FEMA? All this stuff
Jason, there's a very easy answer here. And I'm dealing with my older brother right now. I'm helping him with the VA and with his veterans benefits. And he is case in point of people who get confused by paperwork and they get overwhelmed by the momentous part of what it takes. And I can honestly tell you, working with the anger management component in the community, which I do, that there is a third that have never dealt with the government, do not understand multiple paperworks. They do not understand that if you answer this yes, it means no, and if you answer this, it means yes. And that's that layer of government that has got people who aren't in. If you're inside that circle, that bubble, oh, it's so easy. But if you're somebody outside who has never interacted with that, or a state agency or a government agency, Jason, that frightens the crap out of them. And they're frightened, they're angry, and they just step back and go, I would rather sit on the street than go deal with an agency that makes me nervous, because I feel like when I turn in a form, I feel like I'm handing it to Sister Lucinda and she's going to make red marks all over it and hand it back to me. That's a little personal. That's one of my things, but yeah, well, Sister Lucinda.
Well, I figured that, but the concept, we know, and I think that's true. But again, I guess I don't think of myself as strictly religious, or I'm spiritual by my nature, but I don't know what to do to help these people.
But it's so frightening, because even looking from the outside, which I've been learning with my brother, that I can see how he would get confused. I can see how that would be overwhelming. I had a friend who went through the Beirut bombing, and I helped him, and I testified in his behalf of what he was like to grow up with and what he was like when he came home from that. And he did not have. He's very, very intelligent guy. We've been friends our entire lives, but it's like he didn't have the capacity to articulate and to not look at something like, you look at a question, what happened? How did you get disabled? And you look at that question, and most people go, I feel fine, I feel great. That cognitive dissonance, because you get up every morning, and no matter how bad you feel, you get up and you go to work. And we all need a little cognitive dissonance, because sometimes our body is telling us one thing, and we're saying, I'm going to lay here in bed and have a cup of coffee when I get up in 2 hours instead of getting up and doing what I need to do. We're getting back to that, but we have a lot of people in our country who, I'm just fine, and that's not the right answer. The right answer is, how are you really, and have the guts to say, I feel confused, I feel like no one's listening to me. And I think that was the outcome of this last election. There's a lot of people that were afraid to stand up. They're afraid to voice their opinions. They were afraid to go, I'm confused with the government I'm living in. I'm confused by my property taxes. I'm confused with this. And they just turn it off and step away. And a lot of the homeless people that I have worked with that have come through the jail system, that's it. There's an incredible amount of people living in Hawaii that do not read or write still. A lot. A very large component. You take that limited ability and you put it to a form, a 38-page FEMA form, or even a form from Allstate or State Farm or any of the agencies, if you had a family home that was insured, that's really confusing.
And when you try to do it orally and you ask a question like name, well, It's very difficult with people that aren't used to being put in those kinds of
No, you're
situations.
exactly right,
They want
Jason.
you to tell you the story, and they get angry
Yeah.
if they don't. I think that like this guy I talk about drawing a gun and pointing it.
Yeah.
Why? He's so frustrated because you can't
Yeah.
handle that stuff.
Yeah,
Rich or poor,
Yeah.
those situations are existing.
we saw it in the streets in New York where that CEO of that insurance company got killed. And they're trying to make it into one thing or another, but the reality is there's people in pain that I know personally. I had the disc replaced in my neck, that because workman's comp was going to pay for it, that my insurance was going to pay for it. And when I went to workman's comp, they said, no, your insurance has to pay for it. And that took 6 years. Years before I could have my spinal surgery to repair the discs in my neck that were broken when I was busted up.
Well, wow. And you had a good result. I had an accident. I went to get treatment, and no one would take it. Why? Because they don't get paid.
Right.
Yeah, and then I had someone that would do it, and everything was pre-checked. It still didn't work. It's just the whole system is way crazy.
Yeah, it's and people
so
are
6
people are
years.
6 years before they.
Thank God you got it.
And it was I was in and out in 2 days, and I was living on morphine, and then there was nothing. I was perfect. There was no pain. It's like they pulled a dagger out of my neck. I had a migraine for almost 8 years. It was horrible. And that gentleman that killed that guy was going through that same thing. They're going like, "Oh, you're imagining things. Your pain's imaginary," and it's like I understand the mindset he must have had dealing with the system, and he took it to a horrible extreme. But I understand, and people who now are realizing, and that's a great deal of. Our educational system right now, we have such amazing teachers. If you took the Department of Education, which has since its inception has returned lower test scores for the entire time since it was brought into place, we took that chunk of change and we gave it to our teachers and our principals, we could give them a 300 to 400% pay increase. And they could afford to buy homes, and they could afford to do these things.
Well, again, I'm sure that some of that administrative...
For what? They're administrating money.
Well, no, I'm just saying, there must be some discussion about it to see how to do it. And like you say, give people some time. But if you don't train those people and you give them 2 to 3 years pay, and they're now like... What do they do? We're changing our world.
Well,
we shifted it one way. Now we're shifted. It's a pendulum. Here we go.
The kids that go to school in this school district, we have a parental. We have the parents board. We have those things. Those things used to be what helped guide the schools in the right direction. Another thing, and this gets back to why states' rights are so important. Our founding fathers, when they envisioned the union of the states, each state, each city runs in its own particular way. Previous to about 50 years ago, and I remember I was doing research and I was working with Senator Q-Tub in Oregon when they were putting in the Oregon Health Care Plan, which was one of the first states after Hawaii that did a universal health care for people that Okay. And I was working on the plan that was going to create a savings, international or a city or a state savings account. So you would have an account balance. So you would actually be going, what did I pay for? Why did I get charged this? Instead of going out to this imaginary world of insurance company people that we don't talk their language. So if we give the school system back to the teachers and the PTA, and each individual area runs like it wants to run. If it fails, then it fails this big. If it fails from the entire country, it fails this big.
Well, you know, because I've been talking politics so long, I remember when local school board issue was on the 30 years ago.
Yeah.
We're not talking about something that's new.
No, but they've diminished.
But then they pulled it that way. And the money's coming from where else? And now, do
So
we have local controls again?
We need to make sure we have accountability.
But we want to give them more money.
Well, if you're accountable to this imaginary giant agency in Washington, D.C., I mean, President Bush, when he did that No Kid Left Behind, he shackled teachers to teach the test and not teach a curriculum. And that was a huge failure, because what's important to the kids in Maui is not important to the kids in New York City. And what's important to the kids in New York City, yeah, it's something, but it's not the focal point for the kids here in Maui. We need to go back to the model where this is what we learn. We want the Hawaiian language to be part of the Ngidam and part of the culture of Hawaii. We want that to be introduced in schools. Because of this giant flood down, that is slowly creeping its way back in, but they've had to fight tooth and nail for it. It shouldn't be that way, Jason.
Let me ask you a question. It's totally off the wall, but I'm just going to ask it anyway.
This wall?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So now we're getting rid of people. In theory, from my limited exposure, AI is an extremely efficient tool so that some of that bureaucracy can be handled super efficiently and eliminate many of the jobs you're speaking with. So it's not...
Cool thing, Jason. You brought up a great topic. They created AI that reads legislation.
Well, see what I'm saying here? So there's AI that can eliminate a whole strata of working. That's why I asked you about the retraining thing, because we're
generally speaking, most of these people in that level, Jason, of government have master's degrees. They're not shoveling streets, or they're not fixing potholes. These are people with high degrees of advanced education that are doing nothing but shuffling things back and forth.
Well,
they're not.
I would like to better. I have to say it because
Wow.
I would like to know what. Maybe it's more than just paper. I mean, I'm really going to be finding it interesting. It's like opening the books on what is the deal here. Mm-hmm. That's going to be very interesting and exciting. Yeah. And for people to be eliminated, someone to say your job is redundant. That's a big statement. Well, and is it going to do that
most
on
of those
mass?
people already know.
No, but I want us to be able to see it so that, and if everyone in this country and world that we're talking about knows what's going on, or at least they'll know, hey, it's time for me to start training at something that is relevant in this new world. Well, I'm concerned that we're not, in other countries I don't know, but I can only assume, especially when you see Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy carving out foreign smart people, they can stay.
No, and that's always been that way. That's not new. That's not new.
I know it's not, but you see, that again, you look at our education system. We're not preparing our people to be those jobs. Like when they're going to AI, you see a commercial on the internet all the time. A guy sitting around the pool, he's an executive, he says, AI is coming on here, and people are spending huge money to get the power to do it. It would be nice if they have people trained to do it, because that stuff is huge.
It's a huge thing online right now to sign up to learn about all the different AI versions. But the cool part, if there's anything that you guys are listening today, take apart from this, look and see what Argentina has done. Wow, that has been the most incredible turnaround. They had 100% inflation rate. They are down to 6% inflation rate. They came in with what we just saw with our last election, with an absolute mandate about 2 years ago. Right now, Argentina took their bond rating from a B- back in the A group. They have increased jobs in Argentina. A lot of these people that were in government jobs, when they did this creation, they eliminated bureaucracy, and now these very intelligent people are opening up their own businesses and doing it almost freely without a lot of impingement. So the economy in Argentina has exploded using this model.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
I love to hear that.
It's the only one out there. And all of South America is looking at Argentina going like, oh crap, we've got to do this. And this gets back to the state model. States, local governments used to run things separately and differently than the rest of the country. So if something worked, other cities are going, what are they doing that works? And they would go there and look and find out what they're doing and see if they can repeat that here. What they're doing in Texas right now is creating the most job growth and the most growth in economics for all of the people of Texas than any other state. And now other states now are finally going, what's Texas doing? Because we want our state to grow like that. And that's how it used to work. It wasn't. So
let's, because we only have 6 minutes left, which is a lot of time, but I think we need to, because you and I can do, we're so out there. We only have 8 seconds left. We are coming upon a new regime in just a handful of days or the next month. And I hope that everyone, no matter who you voted for or didn't vote for or none of that, come in with an open mind. But I hope you're hearing what we're saying. Start to get trained. And no matter, when I'm watching older people that I don't want to look at a computer. I still use a flip phone. They're missing the world.
Well, yeah.
This guy that I talk about with the gun, the person coming at him had a phone and videotaped him and the whole thing, and he didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Because he's a dinosaur.
Well,
what is crazy?
Here's a simple statistic. CNN, ABC, CBS, average evening viewership for the news are all over the age of 70.
That's knockout. That's amazing to hear those numbers.
Yeah, so that just lets you know right now
that news is not being delivered to the majority of people by the old media.
And they can't survive because they have burnt every bridge with the millennials, Gen X.
Do you know that here locally, Kauai Radio Group, Visionary Radio, and was sold for $800,000 for 8 stations. Now, that's less than a condo.
Yeah.
So what's the deal? Radio and selling it and reselling it is just another spot in a giant net
we've
created. We've reached
and
that
what
point.
they did in this last stupid bill that they just passed, which I'd love to kick Republicans across the room for because they went along with whatever the Democrats threw in there. There's an agency, there's a national agency now that has permission because of that one caveat in that bill that they can monitor anybody's internet use or whatever they're doing online. They're definitely monitoring us.
Maybe you.
Yeah, probably me. I give you that.
No, I got you.
Yeah,
there's an agency doing that.
They have been doing it. And this is.
I thought since the internet started pretty well. Isn't that why we always?
Well, no, we had the chance to stop that. They passed that Patriots Act after 9/11, and they didn't. They did not extend the FCC. Talk about never wanting to extend any government agency. They should have extended that to the internet so you can't have subliminal advertising on the internet.
What a subject. We got a couple of minutes left. You did it, Scott.
Oh, we have fun.
Fill up the time. Oh, we got 3 minutes. No, it's this one. Looks like 2. This one says 3. That one says 2.
What glasses? I'll try a different set of glasses.
No, it doesn't say wrong.
I'm teasing, Jason.
We're not a registered station that's under too much monitoring. 54. We got to like 56.
Yeah,
so we
we're
got
good.
A couple of minutes. You've been a great guest.
It's been fun. Happy New Year.
I was going to talk about ice cream today, but you went off on a different subject.
Oh, you want to talk about ice?
It's the end of the year. Everyone, we can't eat the wrong kind of ice cream because that's why Scott's looking good.
Yeah.
Because he's taking and using his mind to be able to eat the right things, and it's working, and you're exercising every day. And
it doesn't matter how much it hurts. You got to do it.
Yeah. Well, then you get to love it, which is really a strange thing.
Then your whole framework changes.
Well, I'm going to get this phone ready because in just minutes less, she said, "Oops, you're most welcome." Well, she's great, but she didn't realize we were on the air. And here's another one who thought something happening. This has really been a fun time, Scott. I have things in art that are going to be coming on here and people that are doing shows on the West Side that are really dynamic in what they want to do to. See, we didn't talk about the fact that I'm going into the real estate to be able to give money into things through my nonprofit to create programs, to create jobs and all these things, and create an internal economy, and start by me throwing
If you
money.
talk to anybody on island that owns a food truck, they would really love to have a restaurant. But the bureaucracy, nobody aspires to own a food truck. They aspire to have a food truck and then get a building and then have a restaurant. So we need to make that dream possible and get out of their way. Make a dream, Jason. Make a dream.
Make the dream. Well, a lot of things can happen, and we're going to have more conversation. If you have anything you want to talk about, or people you think will represent some issue you want to be able to talk about and improve our world, give a whistle. MauiNeutralZone.com, DreamMaui.com, Aloha Swim Lessons. You'll find one of us.
Yeah.
And when you find one of us, you have hit the mother lode, because we are interested in you. And we appreciate you coming and joining us, Scott. Thank you.
It's been fun, Jason. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Blessings to you.
Yeah.
We're going to hit the button now. Watch this. Wow. End of show. Thanks for joining us, everyone.